NCIS, Sydney recap. The agents are stranded in Episode 7. Here's a complete synopsis of NCIS. Sydney Episode 6. Spoilers ahead. The crew must investigate after a maid at the Audley Hotel finds a scientist affiliated with the Office of Naval Research dead, naked and with a bag over his head in the lavatory. This is what happened in Sydney's 7th episode of NCIS. Bunker down. Jackson, Sean Sauger, and Dempsey, Todd Lassens, went to the hotel, and the other members of the squad departed for a banquet. Dr. Penrose, William McKinns, who arrived on the scene, stated that the victim had died a few hours ago. The local police suggested that the plastic bag covering his head was a result of inappropriate sex activities and thought it was an accident. The sufferer had blood under his fingernails, probably from a scuffle, and a fresh-looking injury near his temple. While Jackson was discussing potential hypotheses with Dempsey and Penrose, he noticed something. His medallion box was empty, unlike the ones the team had received for the banquet. When Jackson returned to the headquarters, he watched security tapes from the hotel and noticed an odd behavior from a maid. She positioned her hand away from the camera all the while, hitting the victim's room solely. After 4 minutes, the maid cleaned the room and left. With no cell phone reception, Mackie, Olivia Swan, Cooper, Thule Narkler, and Gleason, Maverney Hazel, went to the Gyometric banquet. The ladies gave their admittance medals and the lifts opened to a black tie event. Doors behind them were sealed, not merely locked. At a pack, Kimitsu Kikoshi, the CEO of Gyometric, addressed the group and sort of joked that they were stranded in the bunker and nobody knew where they were. The bunker hadn't worked for decades, had no air in or out, and its position was unmarked on a map, so oxygen levels would run out in 2 hours. Her argument was that while satellites are necessary for everyone's personal electronics, what if there was an apparatus that only needed the Earth's magnetic field? That was what the business had produced, but PAC's attempt to demonstrate the technology in action was a complete failure, which led to a serious issue. The only person who knew where they were was the event planner, Lauren Fox, Adele Samus, and there was a severe 2-hour countdown till oxygen depletion. Thus, 50 individuals were in danger, among them Monica Rowe, Georgina Haig, who was 38 weeks pregnant. Dempsey and Jackson, on the other hand, were attempting to learn more about the invitation because it had to do with both the victim and their team. But with no messages on social media and a blank website, they thought their comrades were out of service. However, they discover Fox's social media page in relation to Gyometric. Same MO, another victim. Gleason, Cooper, and Mackie searched for an escape route. Cooper witnessed an argument between PAC and Rohit Rashik, Abhilash Kamal, who worked for a company that competed with Gyometric, when she walked to the bar to get a tool. PAC thought he switched off her gadget and insisted he switch it back on, but he denied any participation. Heard an argument between PAC and Rohit Rashik, Abhilash Kamal, who worked for a company that was in competition with Gyometric. PAC thought he switched off her gadget and insisted he switch it back on, but he denied any participation. Promotion. Dempsey and Jackson arrived at the banquet location where the celebration was meant to take place, but naturally, everyone is stuck inside the bunker. Fox was discovered dead with a plastic bag covering her head in the back. Penrose felt something sticky on her palms. The women in the bunker succeeded in opening a door that let them enter a war room. They may have called Dempsey on a phone that was available. Before the line fell dead and the electricity went out, Mackie gave him as much information as she could. After locating the breaker, Cooper turned on the lights once more. Why did the call terminate when the phone was powered by a copper line and didn't require electricity? It appears that someone tore the line out of the hallway and cut it. It was theorized that someone planned to assassinate the CEO in order to gain access to the technology. If that's the case, this murderer had a strategy to get out of there when the oxygen ran out. Cooper began to pat individuals down. Rashik had nothing on him when she got to him. Meanwhile, Gleason noticed ash on one of the doors and noticed what appeared to be a chimney. The issue was that it was intended to remove air, not to add it. They replaced the door swiftly. Upon visiting the group, Mackie discovered that Rowe, the pregnant woman, had broken her water. She kept her cool and checked her pulse, which was functioning normally. In NCIS, Sydney, Sean Sager, Todd Lassens, and William McInnes. Photo credit: Paramount Plus/Daniel Asher Smith. Dempsey and Jackson thought they had located the bunker based on hints from the women. When they got to the HMAS Watson Naval Base, it was deserted. After contacting Penrose, the two set out to locate the correct bunker. While Mackey, Cooper, and Gleason continued to look for an escape route, Rowe went into labor. Bags of flour littered the war room. According to Mackey, they want to create a thermobaric bomb that will cause a portion of the chimney to collapse, allowing air to enter. They made use of the fuse box, copper wire from the severed phone line, and gunpowder. When the improvised bomb burst, it filled the chimney with debris rather than leaving an air opening. The three women were defeated, but they still tried to have some fun in their final minutes before collapsing and facing death. Promotion. Cooper said that throughout the previous hour, her pulse had been getting progressively weaker. Mackey then realized that the pregnant woman's pulse had been normal. Before taking action, she waited for everyone within the bunker to perish. Cooper and Gleason were told to get up by Mackey. Dempsey and Jackson arrived at the bunker simultaneously by chopper and hurried to the doors. Penrose called to inform them of the outcome and to explain that the sticky stuff on Fox's hands was theatrical glue, which is used to attach wigs. There is 1 minute remaining on oxygen. Dempsey and Jackson opened the bunker's seal with a minute remaining before total oxygen depletion and discovered the 50 individuals on the verge of death. Nevertheless, Mackey had the courage to head quickly in Rowe's direction. Dempsey trailed her to the loo, where she continued to put on the act of being in labor. One of the restrooms contained an oxygen tank, which they discovered. As it turned out, Rowe was not pregnant at all, and the device she used to jam Gyometrix technology was concealed by her prosthetic stomach. Mackey removed her mask and heavy makeup, and Dempsey removed her wig. Who was it? The blonde woman from the first episode's dating app. To obtain the medallion and enter the feast, she disguised herself as a maid and murdered the scientist in his hotel room. Recall that the first episode left us wondering if the blonde woman was still alive or dead, leaving us on a cliffhanger. Here's our response then. The episode concludes on a to be continued with the blonde woman in the interrogation room and all of the NCIS team members recuperated.